With that, I'm going to introduce our first speaker this morning is Mike Collins. He's got some entertaining and interesting things to share with us this morning. We'll go ahead and get started with Mike.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning. I've presented to groups that were bigger, and I've presented to groups that were smaller, and I don't know that I've ever presented to as august a group as this, so appreciate y'all making it in this morning. A couple of things that we're going to do, if you don't mind, to give you more value for the time that you spend in here. I got together with Willie Stewart and with Pamela, and we talked about the way programs were supposed to go is I was going to do a program on change this morning, and then tomorrow I was going to do 10 secrets of grabbing a great life. What we talked about, though, was that considering a lot of the changes a lot of y'all are going through, that it might be more beneficial for the longer period of time to talk about change tomorrow morning. So what I'm going to talk about this morning is this. You can look at me and realize I enjoy a good buffet. What I want to try to do is give you this buffet of ideas to help you as far as your personal life and as far as your professional life in terms of grabbing a great life. Now, I will tell you this that will help you, I think, get more value about the time you spend in here. Willie's got a wonderful presentation coming up at 8:45 till 9:45, and he's going to talk about a wide range of ways that you can look for, acquire, and manage good people. And I'm going to talk about some things tomorrow and this morning that are going to kind of, I think, create a foundation for some of the things he's going to tell you. So I got you covered on that. Now, if you will, I noticed in the packet that you have that there was not an outline for this program, and I'm not quite sure why it didn't get included, but that's fine if it didn't. You have a pad in front of you that the hotel has given you, and you've also got a big pad in your packet. So I'm going to suggest that whatever you're taking notes on, just pull that out, and let me go ahead and get started. If you're going to have a great life, then I'm going to suggest to you that you're going to have to aim at it. Y'all are smart enough to realize that it is not just going to happen to you. So one of the first things I'm going to suggest that you think about is, what is your dream for your business, and what is your dream for a perfect work day? Now, the name of my company is The Perfect Work Day, and I've had people tease me for the last 25 years about that. And what they'll say is, a perfect work day, that'd be me not being here. That'd be a perfect work day. Well, that would be a vacation day. That would not necessarily be a work day. But let me suggest to you that your work day is actually an interplay of three things. So if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of walk you through a couple of things, and I promise you you'll get more out of this little short session if you'll kind of go with me on this. Somewhere on your notepad or wherever you're taking notes, just draw a triangle, a reasonably good-sized triangle. Once you get your triangle drawn, if you will, I need you to label one of the sides time. Your day is an interplay of three different things, and the first side is time. Now, time is the only resource where everybody starts out the same. Everybody starts out with 10,080 minutes a week. You have just as much time as everybody else does. Now, I need for you to write the phrase lack of focus near the word time and just point an arrow towards time. The biggest mistake and the biggest problem that we run into relative to time is a lack of focus. You've got so many balls in the air at the same time, trying to keep so many things going, trying to keep focused on those things you have to get done to make sure that you have a great day is one of the biggest problems we run into. Now, I almost hesitate to tell you what the best solution to lack of focus is because it's such a cliche. But if you will, write the phrase to-do list. The only way that you can cut down on that lack of focus is doing a to-do list. Now, I kind of know what the answer is going to be considering the folks I have in this room and what y'all do, but let me see some hands here. How many of you actually do to-do lists on a daily basis? Yeah, I figured I'd get a pretty high percentage because of mostly what y'all do in your companies. But let me give you a tip, if you will, that I think can cut down on your stress and jack effectiveness in your company way up. Push the people you manage to do to-do lists. And here's the key. Ask to see their list on a regular basis. What you'll start finding is that it gives you a way to make sure they're focused on the things you need they need to be focused on. So you do a to-do list, but also and model that behavior, but encourage the people you manage to do to-do lists. Let me see some hands on this one. How many of you have children in your home over the age of 10? If you will encourage your children to do a to-do list, you'll end up raising more accomplished children. And I tell you, you can make it a game with them and say, okay, of all the things you got on your list, how many can you get checked off today? It especially is a great game for boys because they'll see it as a type of competition. Now, the second side of your triangle, please label that people. There is a time tax to be paid with how we interact with other people. If you tend to be one of those folks who is very much a people person and you enjoy engaging others and that sort of stuff, what you may find is that you end up burning a lot of time chatting with folks when in fact it doesn't really get anything done. So we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. Willie's going to talk about using behavioral style surveys like AVA to find out what people are like so you can fit them into get the best fit for a job. I've actually got a very short behavioral survey that you'll take tomorrow morning that you'll like a lot. But for this issue of people, the biggest problem we run into with people is miscommunication. Miscommunication. Now, let me slow down here for just a second. I want you to do some math for me because I'm getting ready to show you something, and when you see the answer to this, some of your eyes are going to get real big. I need you to think about what you make per week. And I just need a rough number, either in your head or on paper. What do you think you make per week? And round it up to the nearest hundred so your math's easier. Everybody kind of got a number in your head of what you think you make per week. I need for you to multiply that by 7. So let me just give you a second. Take what you make per week and just multiply it by 7, either in your head or on paper. Let me give you a second. All right, here's what should scare you. There's a concept called the 15% horror story. And what it says is that the average American worker wastes 15% of their time every year because of miscommunication. I'm up here talking about some topic and I'm using jargon or acronyms and I'm not really explaining what those things are, and you're not willing to throw your hand up and ask a question, or you're explaining something to me and I'm a little bit fuzzy, but I'm thinking, I don't have time to ask, and then later on I need that information. That miscommunication. The average American worker wastes 15% of their time every year because of miscommunication. 15% of your work year is 7 weeks. That dollar figure that you came up with, that is how much of your salary is wasted because of miscommunication. Multiply that out by the number of people in your organization. Now, the best way to deal with miscommunication is to ask more and better questions. More and better questions. And I'm going to even show you what the questions are here in just a minute. Now, the third side of your triangle is stuff. Just simple, flat out stuff. All those emails that come at you, all the paperwork that comes across your desk. There's even a time tax to be paid with stuff. Al Newharth is the publisher of USA Today newspaper. I noticed some of you had got one in front of your room this morning. Newharth is a multi-millionaire and has a big mansion down in Miami. Well, he was having a party one night and he was walking some people through his house, and Newhart, by the way, is a clothes horse. So he's showing some people his bedroom and his closet. And his closet's about half the size of this room. And somebody said, Al, how long does it take you to get ready in the morning? And he said, well, about 45 minutes. And they said, 45 minutes. They said, considering what your income is, do you have any idea how expensive that 45 minutes of you getting ready every morning is? He had never thought about that before. So the story goes that Newhart goes into his closet, takes 95% of his clothes, gives them to charity. Goes out and buys all new clothes. But everything he buys is black, white, or gray. So it takes him 5 minutes to get ready in the morning, everything matches. I'm not saying you got to get ready clothes, just realize that all that stuff in our lives tends to create a time tax. Now, the biggest problem we run into with stuff is the problem of disorganization. Listen, y'all, the average American wastes 2 weeks every year just looking for stuff. The average American wastes 15 hours a year just looking for car keys. So the more organized you can get, the more focused you can be. Now, the best organizational strategy I've ever seen, I've never seen anything better than this, is called the 30-second secret. The 30-second secret. Here's the deal. Do not walk out of your house in the morning. Do not walk away from your desk at lunch or at the end of the day without taking 30 seconds to just put a couple of things up. The cumulative effect of 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds tends to get you organized, and it keeps you organized. So, our 3 areas that create our day are time, people, and stuff. The 3 biggest mistakes we run into are lack of focus, miscommunication, and disorganization. And the best way to deal with those 3 things is do a to-do list, ask better questions, and the 30-second secret. Now, if we had a fire drill right now and everybody had to leave this room and could not come back into the room, just what I've told you right there, if you will put it into use in your day, I promise you end up having a more perfect work day. Now, let me slow down if you will, and if you'll indulge me, let me jump to the other side of the fence for you and talk about those people you manage. If you will encourage them to do those 3 things I have suggested, your life gets easier because they end up working more efficiently and they work more effectively. So take some of these things back and talk to the folks that you work for and that you manage about using some of these tools. On your outline. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't. Second thing, facing reality. What is the reality of the day that you have? One of the things I'm going to suggest to you is there are some things in our day that we just cannot change. They're going to be like that. You also got to ask yourself, what are the things you can change, and will you change those things? We're going to talk about change tomorrow for about an hour and a half, really. And we're going to talk about some things that can make it maybe easier for you to change a little bit. But what's your reality? The town council in Monza, Italy, created a law in the town that said that you could not put goldfish in a round goldfish bowl. Excuse me, because they said that the round shape of the bowl distorted the goldfish's reality. Now, I don't think we need to be concerned about goldfish. What I do need to be concerned about is, what are the glasses you're using to look at life? Do you tend to be one of those folks who always looks at life as being, well, is the glass half full or is it half empty? I've got a friend that says the glass is twice as big as it needs to be. But one of the things I would ask you is, what is the reality that you're working from? Next point. You need a theme. If you're going to have a great year and a great life, you need a theme to work from. What is this the year of for you? You know, the Chinese talk about that this is the year of the dragon, the year of the mouse, the year of the eagle, that sort of thing. What is this year the year of for you? Come up with a theme. A friend of mine was at a party one night in Chapel Hill, and he had had a little bit too much wine. And he said he had come up with a new religion. And he said the whole religion was based, he said it's real simple. He said it's got a short initiation period. He said we're real long on forgiveness. He said, but the whole thing is based on be nice, do good, have fun. Be nice, do good, have fun. One of the things I would suggest you do, both in your personal life and for your organization, is start asking yourself, what is this the year of for us? If you can use a theme, it allows you to focus on some specific areas. Next point. The most successful people I run into are not trying to add things to their life. They are trying to cut things out of their life so that it leaves more time to focus on those things that are really important. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to think about is, if you could stop doing something in your life, and by stopping that thing, it would make your life better, what would you stop? I'll go ahead and throw my hand up and say the first thing I'm going to suggest you at least think about is stop listening to negative people. Negative people are like a virus, and the more you engage that virus, the worse shape you end up in. So what might you want to stop? If you will, indulge me, I need to give you 15 seconds. I want you to write 2 things down on your notes, and you're not going to be showing them to people. 2 things that if you could stop those things in your life, it would have a dramatically positive effect on your life. And think about your organizations. If you could stop doing 2 things, what might make your organization more effective and or more profitable? So 15 seconds, that's all I'm asking. What are 2 things you'd want to stop? All right, now whoever sits on the back row has to sing something before the morning's over. So, what 2 things would you want to stop? Next point. Neglecting some things is kind of like stopping light. L-I-T-E. You know, you got full-blown Aunt Jemima pancake syrup, and then you got that light stuff. Well, neglecting things is kind of like stopping light. What can you neglect in your life that gives you a little bit of time to do something else? I've got a buddy who talked about he wanted to lose weight. Well, he's an information junkie. He has got to have a newspaper every morning, or he grows a horn out in the middle of his forehead. So he walks down to the end of his driveway every morning, gets that newspaper, comes back and reads it while he's eating breakfast. But he kept talking about wanting to lose weight. So I said, well, let's do this. I said, what if you neglected reading that newspaper just long enough to walk around the block? I said, go down to the end of your driveway, walk around the block, come back, get the paper when you come back in. Well, what he did is he walked around the block and then walked around 2 blocks, walked around 3 blocks. Well, now what he's doing is he's taking about a 15-minute walk, comes back in, gets his newspaper, eats breakfast and reads the newspaper. Simply neglecting that ritual for just a little while, he's already lost 15 pounds. What can you neglect? Now, some of y'all are so busy, you're thinking, well, I can't neglect anything. If you'll indulge me, let me show you something. I'm going to suggest a couple of things. I've already asked you to do a to-do list. Now, everybody knows about A's, B's, and C's, right? When you look at your list, the A's are things you absolutely positively have to do. The B's are the things that if you have time to do them, it'll help you with the A's. Let me tell you what worries me for you. What worries me for you are the C's. Now, I need to ask a quick question because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. But in order to tell you about C's, I need to ask something. Does anybody in here own a Chihuahua? Anybody? Look, dude, don't ever admit it. Don't ever admit it. Just say it's hers. But the thing about a Chihuahua, it's like you get in somebody's house with a Chihuahua, it's like yep, 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 yep. It's just all over you. I mean, I realize what I'm getting ready to say is politically incorrect, but it is virtually impossible to date a woman who has a Chihuahua and do it in a gentlemanly fashion. If she asks you to come over and watch the game on Sunday, and you're over there kicked back watching the game, and she comes in and says, hey, how about a beverage? And you go, well, that'd be great, thank you. When she leaves to go get that beer, that dog comes flying in, yep, 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 yep. And if you just kind of boot him down the hall, if she sees you do that, she'll ask you to leave. I can tell you that from personal experience. I got me some good hang time on that dog, though. Got him over the throw rug and got him on into the hall. And a Chihuahua won't rotate like a Wilson football. Well, that's probably more than you want to know. But these C things on your list are Chihuahua kind of things. How many of you have ever had a day in which at the end of the day you thought, man, I am just slap worn out, but I have not gotten a thing done? Okay, that is a day in which those C things on your to-do list have chewed up your time like a Chihuahua will chew up a bedroom slipper. Did the lights go down or did I have a mini stroke? So here's what I'm going to suggest to you. I'm going to suggest that you look at each thing on your list and you ask yourself this question. It's called the 4 Ds. First, can I delay this thing? Can I put it off? The billionaire Howard Hughes said he would put things off till the last minute because he would either get some information to help him make a better decision or the decision would make itself. What can you delay? I'm all for constructive procrastination. Second, what can you delegate? What can you get somebody else to do for you? Third, just don't do it. Whatever that thing is on your list, just don't do it and watch. What you'll start finding is that you were the only one who had thought it had to get done, so you get to decide. Now, and let me offer a phrase that you can use to figure out how to just not do it. Look at that thing and ask yourself, what is the worst thing that will happen if I don't do this? If it's not a severely negative repercussion, then don't do it and watch. And then finally, just do it. If the first 3 don't work, just do it. Now, you notice I've got 80-20 rule written up here. Everybody in here, I'm sure, knows what the 80-20 rule is. It's the Pareto principle, and it says that in a small amount of time, you usually get a lot done. Most of the really profitable projects a lot of y'all do, there's a few of those sorts of products. In your personal life, the best example I can give you is Christmas shopping. You spend most of your time shopping for just a few people. That's the 80-20 rule at work. Let me give you the Mike Collins version of the 80-20 rule, and this is one of those things that you really ought to take away with you. 80% of the time you can do things 80% okay, and you'll be okay. 20% of the time, you got to cross every T and dot every I. The object of life is to figure out what's the 80 and what's the 20. And I'll even give you a bonus D. It's diminish. Some things are so big that you can't take them out in one fell swoop. What you can do is take a bite out of them today, take a bite out of them tomorrow, and then sooner or later they're small enough that you can knock them out. Next point. Sometimes the good has got to go. The French philosopher Voltaire said, good is the enemy of the great. One of the things I'm going to suggest to you is looking at your organization and saying, what do we tend to be good at? And if you've gotten lazy because that's the easy thing to do, it might be time to kind of change it a little bit. Now, let me caution you on this. In the 1990s, this whole issue of constructive destruction became a big issue. We're going to change our companies dramatically. And the business schools oversold that. You're seeing a lot of organizations that are changing dramatically, and it hasn't helped them at all. They've changed too much. But all I'm asking you to do is take a look at the things that you feel like you're really doing well in and ask yourself, have we gotten lazy? Have we gotten to a point now where we're relying too much on some of these things? These are the three most important words and the three scariest words as far as looking at what's good in life. Is this it? If you get to a goal and you're thinking, is this it? It's time to set a new one and kind of move ahead. Next, simplify your life. The more you can simplify and we talked about stuff a minute ago, the more you can get rid of some of that stuff, the better off you are. Remember what I said, the average American loses 2 weeks in time just looking for stuff and 15 hours looking for car keys. Please realize that there's a time tax to be paid with all that stuff. Let me offer this suggestion. When y'all get back home, look in your closet. Now, I don't want you to have to clean out your closet or anything like that, but look in your closet and realize that unless somebody comes to your house with an electric knife, you ain't never going to get in some of those clothes again. So my suggestion, thank you, Pat. My suggestion is you find 5 things. 5 things that you know you will never wear again. Give them to your church, give them to Goodwill, something like that. The more you can simplify your life, the more you can focus on those things that are really important to you and really matter. Next point, ask for help. Ask for help. Humans are communal creatures. We don't mind helping folks. But if you've got a problem, what you need to be doing is asking for something. In fact, I've got to tell you this. One of the things I like the most about this sort of function is all of a sudden it throws you together with a lot of people who are your colleagues and your peers. If you've got a problem, bring it up, because I can assure you there's somebody else in this room who has the same problem. Now, let me slow down, because what I'm going to do is do something that people who do what I do for a living never do. Whether you go to a seminar that's 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, I don't care. Usually there are only 3 to 5 things, and if you get those 3 to 5 things, you kind of got the whole deal. I'm getting ready to show you something that if you'll use this, not only can it change your organizations for the better, it'll change your life for the better. First off, let me ask you this. Can you look around and see who's doing it right? Can you find a model for the type of behavior that you're looking for? And then, I think you need to think of Bugs Bunny. What was Bugs' question? What's up, Doc? If you go to the people you love and the people you work with on a regular basis and you ask them, what's up, Doc? You get this steady stream of information that cuts down on miscommunication and raises clarity of communication. Now, here's the thing you got to take away. I'm going to give you 7 questions from now on for the rest of your life. If you ever go into any kind of meeting, and I consider things like this to be big meetings. If you go to a parent-teacher conference, if you take a parent to the doctor, anything like that, if you will write these 7 questions down on your paper, it makes you smarter. It makes your brain start looking for answers. If you're interviewing somebody in a job, if you've got a strategy session going, you need to write these 7 questions down. First, what? What's our main point here? I'll tell you to try this. Walk into a meeting sometime with 3x5 index cards, hand everybody a card and ask them why they think they're in that meeting and let them write it down. Don't let them write their name on the card. Just let them write what they think the function of the meeting is. When you get the cards up, you'll find that half the people in that meeting think they're there for a reason other than the one you think they're there for. So what are we trying to accomplish? Why are we trying to do it? What are the problems we're trying to solve? What are the needs we're trying to fill? Who's involved in this? Do you have the right cooks in the kitchen? Now, where is a little misleading. It doesn't necessarily have to do with location. It has to do with decision making. Where are we in the decision making process? Next is when. When has to do with time. Will y'all agree with me that everybody has a different attitude about time? Next is how. How are we going to do this? And then finally, how much? If I'm talking about how much, what am I probably talking about? Yeah, whenever I talk to a group where most of the people were raised and educated in the United States, money pops up first thing. What we're really talking about are resources. How much in time will this take? How much in energy? How much in ego? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. In other words, how much are we pulling people out of their comfort zones? And then how much in money? I will promise you, those 7 questions right there get people focused. In fact, let me show you something. Please take your right hand and point at the ceiling. It won't take you but a second. Bring your hand down and put it back and touch your finger to that depression on the back of your head. It's at the base of your skull, right where your spine stem comes. Okay. About 4 inches in from where your finger touched. Y'all can put your hands down now. Some of you are having way too much fun with that exercise. But about 4 inches in from where you touched is a part of your brain called the amygdala. And inside the amygdala is an area called the reticular activation system. It woke you up this morning. But another thing it does is it looks for patterns. You put these questions on a sheet of paper, You see them, your brain starts looking for answers to the questions. It makes you smarter. So please use this and teach it to the people you work with and the people you manage. Teach it to your children. It makes them smarter. 2 more points. Can you really find balance in life? Excuse me. There are a number of authorities who've said that balance is really a myth. In fact, some of you are familiar with Jack Welch, who was the CEO for General Electric. Welch said that if you live in the early 21st century in America and you have any ambition at all, he said balance is a myth. There are going to be times your life is way out of balance. The object of the game is to find ways to pull yourself back into balance over a short period of time. And we'll talk a little bit about ways to do that tomorrow. But here's one way you can stay healthier, and that's one of the best ways, I think, to have a more perfect work day and to find a great life. Wind, water, and weight. Every day, try to do something that helps your cardiovascular fitness. If you are going up in a building less than 4 floors, take the stairs. If you walk stairs 6 minutes a day, it cuts your heart attack risk by 15%. Water, stay hydrated. Here's something to think about. Now, I noticed this gentleman back here, when I was eating breakfast over there, he has Colorado on the back of his shirt. If you especially work in those climates where it's hot all the time, you need to be understanding this issue of hydration. If your hydration level drops by 2 to 3%, it inhibits your ability to do simple math. It inhibits your reaction time coming up on stop signs and stoplights. Finally, as far as weight, stop worrying about it.